W223CR-FM, Kingston, New York. We're streaming through our website, WGHQ.FM, and you can listen on your smart speaker when you say, play WGHQ.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
Every day, we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good,
Others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when something doesn't seem quite right
that it's time to pay attention.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This programming is brought to you by the Friends of Kevin Cahill. As a strong advocate of local broadcasting, Assemblymember Cahill urges you to support Kingston Community Radio with your time and donations. Your contributions keep KCR vital and on the air at FM 92.5, AM 920, and on the web at mykcr.org. Please join Assemblymember Cahill and send your gifts of $10, $25, or more to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. Together, let's keep KCR alive.
All right. Good morning, Kingston. Good morning, Rick Remsnyder.
Lawrence, how are you this morning?
I am good. I didn't know it rained overnight, though. I had left all my windows open, because it was so nice. It was 57 when I went to bed. And the nice breeze, I'm on the second floor, so I get there's really actually a nice breeze coming down Main Street. You wouldn't figure it, but it is. And then I woke up this morning and I heard, it was raining pretty hard at 1:32 in the morning. So I had to get up and go to the bathroom. I'm like, oh boy, I had to shut a few windows. But I'm as much as I love to ski and as much as I love winter sports, I'm happy that the weather is turning.
I got in my first round of golf yesterday, 72 degrees.
Nice.
I played Green Acres. Well, as you and I said before we got on the air, Brian Bonesteel, the owner over there, has done a fabulous job.
Yeah, we got, like you said, we got to get him on the radio too.
And it was crowded. There were a lot of people there. And it wasn't as wet as I thought it was going to be. One of the holes a little bit wet, but he's got it in great shape, and here we are, March 25th yesterday?
Right, we're already playing around the golf. The thing I really like about Green Acres, to give them a quick plug, is in the summer when, it's daylight to almost 9 o'clock, or, we're getting, later days, is they have, I think it's during the week, Monday through Friday. After 6 o'clock, it's half price to play at Green Acres. So me and my friends used to go over there all the time. I mean, you get the cart and a round of golf for $20. We would just do the 9. I wouldn't go back and do the whole 18. But yeah, I like Green Acres. It's, it's close. It's right down, it's right on, what is that, Harwich Street?
Harwich Street.
Harwich Street.
I tell people to go to McDonald's and
go to McDonald's, turn left, and take the road till the end. Yeah,
it's very affordable, and the thing about Brian is he's pumped a lot of money into the course. It used to be known as Easy Acres.
Yeah, it did. And the last couple of years, he's done a lot of good stuff with it.
A lot of water.
Yeah. Now, that used to be a cornfield before it was Green Acres.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, if you're riding that, after you tee off from the 6th hole, when the long stretch as you're coming back towards I want to say the clubhouse, but it's more like a shack. But when you're coming back towards that, and your cart, say you're going at full speed on your cart. You're in your cart's like gung 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 gung.
Yes,
that's all the corn. You know how they have to raise the beds. That's what that is right there. And after all these years, it's never gone out of there. It's still a nice course.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's not Wiltwick, but you know, I like Green Acres. I used to play Catspan before they turned it into whatever it is now.
Well, unfortunately, Catspan, which was designed, I was at the Freeman at the time that it opened. John Dooley owned a tire dealership in Saugerties, and he's the one that designed Catspan. Then they turned it into Lazy Swan.
Lazy Swan, right.
And unfortunately, it closed last year, and from what I'm hearing, it's not going to reopen again this year, which is a shame. It's a great course.
Yeah, I've played. I haven't played. Is Dinsmore still open over in?
Dinsmore's still open.
I tell you, with Dinsmore though, you can hit a fairway over and still make par. That is also an old. I don't know if that's an old farm, but I like Dinsmore. Twaskill, you got to hit him straight. You overlap. You know, I found out if you hit it too far over, you end up hitting the poor guy in the head, but I need the 2 times I played Twaskill, I didn't do too good. Sometimes I'm, duffing them off the tee. So
it's a tough course, Twaskill.
It is. I like it though. I like
the changes.
I did at Kiwanis. Every year, Kiwanis does their golf tournament there, and Cameron Rylance, who is a host on Tuesdays, he invited me one year, and me, him, Chris Burns. I think Steve Sickler and his dad played. We had a good time, man. So it was fun.
One good thing you were mentioning earlier that all the times that you've gone skiing. So we had a great, and me being from the former tourism director, always pushing the ski industry in Ulster County, particularly Bel Air. But you were telling me how many times have you go skiing this year?
At least a dozen. I mean, we went to. Me and my friends, I skied Bel Air about 3 or 4 times. I did the Benedictine Foundation thing up at Plattekill. That was my last ski. That was on 3/11, so that was only 2 weeks ago. That was my last. After that, it was 66 that day for the Benedictine Health Foundation. It was their 3rd annual year of doing it, and I haven't skied Plattekill since, with my mom and dad back when I was 9. I remember my mother had just bought my father. He was smoking Dunhill cigarettes back then, and she had bought him a lighter with his initials engraved on it. And that was for, Christmas, and he dropped it off the lift, and I don't think we ever went back there after that because he never found it. It was a really nice lighter. It was gold or something.
Oh, boy.
This was years ago. I was, it was 1982 or 1981. But, they still have the same lodge. It's the same 2 lifts, but, Plattekill's still nice. We had a good time, but we were sitting on the deck that day, and I was I had all my gear on. I'm I'm sweating. Me and Cam were sweating, but it was a good time. The food was good. The people were great. So,
well, it's the thing about skiing, as you well know. People ask me, well, how was the ski season, whatever year it was? If you don't get snow in even the metropolitan area, people won't come up.
Right.
You got to have snow,
right.
And this year we had plenty of snow, right? We had plenty of snow.
Plenty of it.
So people were coming up. And even though there's man-made snow, it's just kind of a...
It is, but that without the real base of the real snow, it gets crunchy and icy. And, I'm 48. I can't be breaking my leg. I don't know if we're wheelchair accessible here, so I don't want to... have my mom doing all the work. So I try to, when I get tired, I usually got 3 good hours of skiing in me. And that's what me and Cameron and my friend Liam do, is when we go skiing, we just go hard for 3 hours. And then when we're feeling tired or, we're all in our late 40s, Cam's a little older than us, we call it a day. So we'll go into the lodge. Well, we couldn't this year. But we'll go in, we'll, sit on the deck, have a beer, have a burger, enjoy. That's one of the parts of going skiing is, getting a cold beer at the end of the day after, But I used to be able to ski all day and then go out after lunch. As soon as I go in, I'm I don't want to push it. So, but just to touch on one thing and shift gears here real quick. Yesterday, Val Dwyer, who's our Thursday co-host, she had a guest co-host. Dan Gruner came in yesterday.
Yeah, I saw a bit
okay,
of
good.
that yesterday.
So then you saw, and then the police officer, Brian, I forgot his last name, was in here. And it was a very good show. We had a lot of people watching on YouTube, and I got a lot of calls saying what a wonderful show it is. They were pretty much ripping Chief Tinty and ripping the mayor on the crime issue, what's going on in Kingston, which I agree. I think it's out of hand, and I think it all stems from bail reform. It's not all Tinty and Noble's fault, but they do have some things to answer to. But I am a friend with Chief Tinty. So yesterday, after the show was over, I spoke with the chief, and I spoke with Chief Snyder, who me and Joe Snyder are doing the show on Monday. So Chief Tinty will be coming in for an hour on Monday morning, and we're going to start to hammer this thing out. And whatever KCR has to do to be, spearhead this thing to get our city back, into the good graces that it is. I mean, if my mother's afraid to drive in Midtown Kingston and, midday, like a lot of people, called up yesterday, a lot of listeners called in. We had a lot of people are very upset about this. So I felt it was right to give the chief some time on Monday. He normally comes on Wednesdays with Greg Chorvis and Fred Costello, but since in the light of what's going on in Kingston, he will be on Monday morning at 7 o'clock. I think he can only stay for an hour because he has to be somewhere at 8. But at least to start to address this problem, I also had reached out to Mayor Noble. I haven't heard back from him yet. I know he's not coming to the Radiothon on Wednesday, so I have a feeling he might be out of town. Usually he does get back to me right away, or his assistant does. I will also bring this up at 8 o'clock again for some of the people that aren't, quite listening right yet. But Monday morning, 7 o'clock, Chief Tinty will be here, and he can give his side of the events of what's going on, because people getting shot on Liberty Street at 1:30 in the afternoon on Sunday is not a good thing. And it's not good for our seniors and for people like my mother and other people, not just my mom, for people like me and you, Rick, to have to worry about catching a stray bullet, going down the street. So, I'm behind the police 100%. I want to, we have all the top cops around here at least once a month. Juan Figueroa, Kyle Berardi is on regularly. These guys are all coming on Wednesday too, though we probably won't talk about that much on Wednesday because we need to focus on the Radiothon. I think it's, I think residents have spoken, and now we need to do something about this.
No, I agree. Look,
now I know they did catch the guy from last Sunday. They caught him 2 days later, thanks to the help of residents, which is great. But I mean, if you go back a year and a half, we've had more crime in Kingston. God, can you remember when the crime was that big? I
can't.
90s maybe?
And it had to be. And, it gives you pause. We're reopening, and, UPAC isn't open yet. It's pretty soon, I guess. But let's just say you decide you want to go somewhere for lunch. Are you going to go to Midtown Kingston now and have lunch?
Right.
It's the answer to me. From me would be no. That's not where I'm going for lunch. And the business people there, I'm sure, are very concerned, and rightfully so.
They're rightfully so. Right. I mean, listen. One of the reasons that makes Kingston so great is our little tight knit community with a nice, not too far from the city, not too far from Albany. We're at the foothills of the Catskills. Beautiful mountains, nice. With 22,000 people live in Kingston, and I know the cops have it a little tough right now. They, I don't know if the mayor and Tinty are on the same page. I would imagine that they are. I mean, him and Chief Tinty and his wife are lovely people. I respect them a great deal, but something's not right. So we're going to let him get his side of events on Monday. I think what Val and Dan did yesterday was absolutely great. They brought an officer in, though I've never seen this in my 48 years of life, an officer go against his chief saying that, things aren't right. I don't know if that would actually fly 40 years ago if someone could get on the radio and slam Chief Riggins and not expected to get fired. But the guy was the guy's going, the police officer that was in here yesterday, his name is Brian. I forgot his last name, and I feel terrible about that. The guy's going for his master's degree, so he's not, he's not an idiot by any means. He's, he's a patrol cop now. He's been a police officer for 9 years. And,
well, it's interesting, Lawrence, because I was on the New Paltz Police Commission for 8.5 years, and it was a real eye-opener because these officers are well-trained, They know what they're doing. They're risking their lives every day going out in the community. And it's not an easy job. And the thing is, it's just not Kingston. I mean, last week somebody was shot in a restaurant in New Paltz. So,
I saw that.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in New Paltz for 30-some years, and we could put on one hand the number of shootings in the last 30, 40 years, and now all of a sudden it's becoming a recurring problem.
Right, but to the police, to KPD, state police, local police agencies, and to the mayor's benefit, this all has to do with bail reform. Listen, these guys are out committing these crimes because they know, unless they murder a 12-year-old girl or something very serious, they're going to get a ticket and walk away. I mean, that has a lot to do with it. So state lawmakers, this stupid bail reform, and even we had David Clegg on here a couple weeks ago. He doesn't agree with it either, and he's our DA for Ulster County. It needs to be changed. Something needs to happen. People need to be held accountable for their actions, and until that happens, I don't care if you add 80 more cops on the street, they're still going to be answering these calls. So that has police, and I talk with Joe Sinaga on a daily basis. That has a lot to do with it. And the sheriff will tell you the same thing. And that makes, the police agencies mad when they don't think, the courts have their back. It's depressing. But anyway, let's shift gears. We'll talk a little more about that at 8 o'clock so I can remind some of the listeners that aren't on right now at 7:15 in the morning. Chief Tinty is coming on Monday morning. So anybody that has questions, you can call in at 331-9255. The other great news that I have, not great. Actually, that wasn't great news before that, but the other news that I have
some news.
Is yesterday Val Dwyer started a Venmo account for Kingston Community Radio. Now, what Venmo is we were using Noble Acts before, and that is where you go onto the website and donate money to Kingston Community Radio. That seemed to not be working so good. The money was coming in, like with Venmo, you get it in like 2 seconds, and they don't charge any money. So yesterday, Val Dwyer opened Venmo. You just go, it's a phone app on your Android or on your Apple phone. You can go in, type in Kingston Community Radio, and make a donation to us now. You don't have to mail in stuff. It's as easy as that. And I tell you, we've gotten about almost $300 in donations already, thanks to Val. She has.
How do you spell that?
Venmo is VENMO, and it's an app that comes up on your phone. It's really great. They give you you see the person's face who actually donates the money. So. Val had been pushing me to do it we had started talking about it over a month ago, and I was like, yeah, let me get the routing number and all that kind of stuff. So yesterday we finally put it into a plan, and it took her 5 minutes. She sat down at my desk, boom, 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 did all the stuff. And by 9 o'clock last night, we had $300 in donations. I was like, oh, boy. So we're off and running here. So thank you, Val, for doing that. And, I'm not saying you have to call up now, but say for the Radiothon on Wednesday, if you don't want to send in a check, or you have a phone, a smartphone, and you can just donate. It takes the money right out of your account. It's really as simple as 1, 2, 3. And I'm just glad that we have that option now. We're gonna, discontinue Noble Acts, but we're on Venmo now, so that's good.
Great.
So Rick, who's our guest today?
We have a great lineup. We have Amberly Jean Campbell coming in. From Kingston Wire. I know we had her on a couple weeks ago,
and Tony had her on too, but that's all right. Maybe you guys didn't.
We got a little sidetracked, unfortunately. We had a couple of callers, which I always encourage. Please call in 331-9255. But we started, when I start talking to callers, about golf, we kind of took away a little bit of her time. So glad to have her in from 7:30 to 8. And then at 8, I'm very excited. We have Luke Berbick, the pro at Wiltway Golf Club, who has done a tremendous job getting new members and running, Wiltway now, as you know, is now semi-private, open to the public.
Right. I remember when you used to have to give them a bond, or you have to give.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Wiltway...
I was a member there for a number of years. Do they still have
the Wiltway Club and Leon's Delight on the menu? I used to go there with the Tejadas all the time.
Well,
I used to
ask them that, because I know they have a new chef, And the restaurant is going to be open this year, and it's really they had it was called the Capitol Tavern, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, and then they really didn't have it open full time last year for the public. But I think they're going back to food. I know they had food service last year, but I think they're going to have the restaurant open. We'll talk to Luke about that.
Good.
And then at 8:30, I have Dr. Jack Breslin, who's an associate professor of media for Iona College. And Jack and I worked together at the Freeman back in the 80s, and he's got a tremendous background. We could talk about the media. He worked PR
he worked
for
at Fox News, right?
He worked Fox News for David Letterman. He was also NBC News.
Oh, boy. Now, is he calling in?
Yes.
Okay. Are they all calling in?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, Amberly's coming in.
Amberly would be here. Okay.
But Luke will be calling in between 8 and 8:30, and Jack from 8:30 and 9. Good. So we really have a good, diverse selection of guests today.
That was one of the things me and my mother talked about. I was like, we put Rick Remsnyder on the air. This guy he'll have his 3 guests, and we won't even have to worry about that. That's one of the things when my father died, I stepped to guests and was like, hey, if you can get your own, or I stepped to host and said, if you can get your own guests, it would really be important. So it's just one facet of the day that me and my mother wouldn't have to deal with.
Yeah, I know. It's not easy.
Worked out pretty good. For the last my father will be, God rest his soul, my father will be dead 5 years in August. And not only has the time flown by, most of the people haven't even left. Like Cam and Nina started out pretty much with their own show right after he died. Greg Helsmorter and Greg Chorvis were on when Greg Helsmorter stepped down from town supervisor. Fred Costello stepped in. And these guys Tony Marmo's done a huge job with helping me with getting everything. And I tell you, last week I was waiting my flight out of Albany last Friday, or no, 2 Fridays ago, because last Friday I was here. It left at 6 o'clock. I landed in Baltimore at 7:01. I went to they have inside the BWI airport in Baltimore. They have, the old style diners, that look like a trolley car.
Right.
They have one of them in
cool.
BWI. It's called the Silver Light Diner. So I go there and eat breakfast. So I was watching you guys on YouTube last week.
It's cool.
And I was, I was in it. It was good to watch.
I got to be honest with you. Except for every other Friday, I'm not a person that's going to get up at 5:30 to watch a live show at 7. But I'll wake up later on, and within a couple hours, the show's on YouTube.
Right.
I'll put it in my pods and listen. I was listening to Mario and Hugh for a couple hours last Friday. A really good show.
Yeah, they're doing a great job too. See, now those two, not that they can just come in. They have so much to talk about, and I think they're both in their 80s. Or Hugh
Close.
was 80.
Yeah.
I think Mario might be a year older than him. But those guys have been around so long and know so much that the two of them for 2 hours can just sit there and talk. And Hugh is a Democrat and Mario is Republican, so you get both sides of the spectrum, and that's also has been working out quite well. And me and my mother are very happy with the way things have turned out with the radio station in a whole. So
yeah, you got a great lineup of people that come up.
And this Wednesday, our first annual all-day radiothon, similar to the one that we do with the Happy Christmas Fund, we are now doing for Kingston Community Radio. And after we thought when we started doing when we started getting ready for the Happy Christmas Fund in September, actually the end of August, it actually takes about 4 months out of our time just to do everything with the school nurses and the social workers, and that's definitely me and my mother's busiest time of the year is from September to January. And when we started getting everything ready for the Happy Christmas Fund, we were like, God, are we going to have, schools weren't back in session. We didn't know if we were going to have enough names. And we didn't know if people were going to be donating because, people were out of work. And we were amazed how much money that we raised. So we said, after putting some heads together, me, Greg, Bob Circusano, my mother, Tony Marmo, we said, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to do this for Kingston Community Radio, and then we don't have to worry about money for the rest of the year. We lost 4 underwriters during COVID. And it was touch and go here for a while. Me and my mother sank all our money into building this place.
It's fabulous what you've done
actually,
here.
Me and Cameron Rylance are coming in. We're painting this room. Well, first we're going to do the lobby. Then I'm going to let my mother discuss what if she likes the color still. We're going to paint these other rooms. I think it's too white in here. So a lot of the hosts have said, hey, you gotta, I don't know. It's okay. I like to paint, and Cameron Rylance is a really good painter, so I got him coming in. I usually flip-flop the work between my friend Roger Stelz and Cameron Rylance, so it's Cam's turn this time. And then maybe Raj will come in here and help me paint the main studio. But, yeah, we're going to do that this weekend. Me and my mother are going out to dinner tomorrow night. I tell you, when I was out last night, I couldn't believe. I mean, I know it was a nice day, and it was, in the 70s or whatever. But there were a lot of people out on a Thursday night in uptown Kingston last night. I mean, I started out at Stella's at like 7:30, and then I ended up at La Canard. I mean, I wasn't out that long, an hour and a half. I met some friends at Stella's, and then stopped by to see Diane at La Canard on the way home. I couldn't believe how many people were out. Usually Friday and Saturday is packed, but people want to get out of the house, A lot of people have shots, and they were, people our age, like 45 to 65, mostly that. It wasn't young kids, but, I saw a lot of Kingston people out, and I saw a lot of other people that weren't from Kingston out. So it was good to see the restaurants getting back. I know that, they're taking a pretty bad hit over the last year, so.
Yeah, and it's, there's only so much they could do with the outdoor dining. I mean, let's forget the winter. Nobody's going to. So, the inside portion, they've been doing very well. And I know, was over at the Bowery Dugout recently, doing very well. And but they've got a lot of ground to make up.
They do. But now that they can have, I noticed last night, Jean-Jacques had umbrellas tables out. His awning fell off that first snowstorm and crashed the whole thing to the ground. So he doesn't have awnings in front of the building anymore, which actually makes it look kind of weird. And, they want a lot of money. I think it's like $11,000 or $12,000 to refix the thing. So he had these tables out last night with, umbrellas on them, and a lot of people were sitting outside last night. So now they stopped serving food at La Canard on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're not open Wednesday, but Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 9 o'clock. On Friday and Saturday, the kitchen's open till 10. So,
does he still have his restaurant up in Albany or no?
Whose?
Didn't Jean-Jacques have a restaurant?
He was
in
a
Albany?
partner with somebody up there. I don't know if he still does that. Where he was making a lot of his money, and I don't know if he's still doing it. Is he was a pastry chef before he became the executive chef that he is now. And that's actually how he met his wife. His mother-in-law and her husband used to run a restaurant. I don't know if it was in Woodstock, but they hired Jean-Jacques as a pastry chef, and then he met Jennifer, and then the rest is history. But he's been on Fair Street for 31 years.
Wow, yeah.
And he started as that little spot next to Tom Reynolds' studio.
Sure.
And then he moved down. And I tell you, I like going over there. He's always very generous. He's very, I like the food. That's probably the main reason I go there. And I like the company of the people that are there. And let's face it, I'm a little too old to go to a bar anyway, so I might as well go to a restaurant so I can enjoy the best of both worlds.
There's great atmosphere in that place. It
there
really
is. And I had fun at Stella's last night, too. And it was good to see them packed. Not packed. They were living up to their, capacity laws or whatever. But it's good to see everything. When I was walking down North Front Street at 8:15 last night, I was like, boy, there's a lot of people out, and people want to get out of the house, man.
Well, yeah, they've been cooped up for a long time, and let's hope that we get some nice weather. This nice weather continues, so people can get out and about.
It's going to get a little chilly on Sunday night, but it should be warm again back on Monday or Tuesday. So, Rick, why don't we go to break, and then when we come back, we'll have Amberly from Kingston Wire.
Sounds good.
Okay.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? By shifting to a system that gives more patients access to strong primary care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
Screening exams for breast, lung, or colorectal cancers are necessary to detect and treat disease at its earliest, most curable stage. But you may have some concerns and questions. Answer your questions and ease your fears by visiting radiologyinfo.org. In addition to information on screening and wellness, you'll find more than 200 descriptions of radiologic exams, procedures, and treatments to help you prepare. Get informed and be prepared. Visit radiologyinfo.org, produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio has been brought to you by the First Savings Bank in Ulster County that still remains local to this day. Ulster Savings Bank, a community bank that's invested in local business, invested in community, invested in you. Ulster Savings Bank, your one-stop resource for everything local. Locations throughout the Hudson Valley and online at ulstersavings.com. Member FDIC.
All right, Lawrence, we're very excited to have Amberly Jane Campbell back from the Kingston Wire and the Shawangunk Journal. Did I leave anything else out?
No, well, sure. We can say roller derby.
Oh, roller derby, right.
There's many hats I wear, but it's so good to be here. Thank you so much, Rick.
Yeah, it's good to see you. So what's been going on the last couple of weeks since we last saw you? Anything going on?
Oh, man, there's just endless things going on. Yes, of course. Well, we wrote the editorial this week for the Kingston Wire on the spat of shootings that we had, unfortunately. We do work in Midtown. Our office is in the Millard Building.
Oh, okay.
And I love it. I love Midtown. Like I am from the area, so I remember kind of the way it was. Last evening, I walked down to Hutton Brickyards for the first time since they've kind of put all that in there.
Sure.
And I was just absolutely floored at the difference. I mean, I couldn't even, it was like not even being in the same place, except for the old kilns. But wow, I can't even believe it. But anyway, there's lots going on.
We'll talk about that. I know Lisa Berger, who is the director of tourism and was my deputy for 5 years, took a tour down there, and I heard her talking about it briefly, but what have they have the cabins open there?
Right. So the cabins are not open quite yet, but they have these, and you could still smell the paint. As I was walking along the trail, they do have that new gate, but there's an opening so that you can still walk the trail. I mean, they thank you for letting, us locals still be there, Right. Anyway, that's a whole other issue. But so the cabins, I mean, they're beautiful cabins. You can see that they're in the process because, one of them, a few of them maybe are still not painted and everything. But I talked to one of the nice gentlemen that was there on a golf cart, telling people not to wander into the cabin area, which is gated off at the moment. They're still doing construction.
Sure.
And he said they're going to open May 6th.
Okay.
Which seems very soon. But, I mean, they are only keeping the old kilns the way they were, and they are fencing that structure off, and they're going to have lights on the inside, on the floor, so that the lights shine up to the ceiling. So, so people can see how it is, without getting in there. And other than that, all of the old structures, the gentleman said that the old structures they rebuilt, right? So they tried to keep a little of the history there. So, I mean, you can walk along the trail, and they have these pillars that are filled with the old Hutton bricks.
Right.
And I got really cool pictures of those. And, I mean, it is what it is. So a lot is happening in Kingston. A lot of folks are moving here and kind of building things. So, I mean, that's an issue that's on a lot of people's minds is gentrification.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's happening, and it's happening at such a rate. When COVID hit, more people moved to the 12401 area code than anywhere else in the whole country.
That's amazing.
And I am out and about a lot, so I am talking to people a lot, and I'm always like, "Where are you from?" And like Brooklyn is, what I'm hearing more and more. So so that's what's happening.
It's an interesting dynamic. I like to shop in Adams. Of course, I don't like to go on a weekend; it's a little too crowded. But you got to pick. Here's a tip for people that might want to go to Adams without being too stressed out with a lot of people. I find from about 6:30 p.m. on that the traffic there diminishes. And they're usually open 6:30, I believe, till 8. So because people are going home for dinner. But anyway, I digress. So what I'm saying is, if you go there, it's interesting because you can hear people talking about, oh yeah, I'm up here for the summer. Oh, I just moved here from Brooklyn, or I just moved. I'm going. Well, where are the local people here?
Right.
But it's an interesting dynamic when you go shopping these places like Adams because, they're discovering these places.
Right. And you can see that they're, standing around like looking and admiring.
Oh, it's a cute little place. I'll have to come here more.
Exactly.
Like, oh, yeah, well, I've been going here for 30 years. I know cute is really not my description of Adams.
Right. Well, what's lovely is that at Adams, they have the garden center in the back, where you can walk through. And they have really created this magical, just wonderland of gorgeous flowers.
Yep.
And the walkway and everything. And they're all labeled so you know which one, what each one is. And I just, I went in there a couple weeks back when it was still the dreariness kind of winter. And it was such a pick-me-up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to the other people around me, being like, "Isn't this so wonderful?" I tend to be very effusive, but and I always like kind of talk to strangers. So just to, I mean, that's how you find out about the people who are surrounding you. So,
Sure.
I can't help I'm a naturally curious person, but
well, you would have been a great person for Ulster County tourism if I'd known about you then. You could, because that's what we were all about. Because half the strength of being in tourism and hospitality is you have to be a people person. You have to. You're selling the county.
Sure.
So when we used to go to travel shows and outside of the area. That's one of the things we would have booze no matter where the show was. And, we would stand out front of the booth and talk, hey, come here, Ulster County. It's almost like a barker, carnival barker.
Right.
But anyway,
But you don't even have to do that anymore. They'll come of their own volition.
You're right. Ulster County is pretty hot right now. So, talk about the editorial you referenced before. Did you write it, or one of the guys, one of your
right? So I didn't write this one. I am writing the next one, which, ironically enough, is about kind of what folks who are transplants should know about the area.
Oh, that's a good one.
So I'll chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's be interesting. Go ahead.
And so I posted on my Facebook yesterday. And I said, I put it out to all my friends. Like, what would you want people to know who are just moving here? And I think I got more comments on that post than I ever have on any post I've ever posted.
Wow.
And it was just full of great tips and things people should remember. There's a lot of like trail stuff. If you're going to go hiking, you better have, don't have Crocs, don't have flip-flops. Like, you need real footwear for going hiking. Definitely bring enough water, more than you think you're going to need. Over prepare in a way, for that kind of thing. Really watch your footing. I mean, unfortunately, just last week we had the hiker from Middletown who fell to his death at Minnewaska. Very unfortunate young man. So, I mean, you have to be cognizant of your surroundings. I know that especially driving, people think that we live in a wonderland and it's wonderful, but definitely go the speed limit. Like don't be crawling, 35 and a 55 because, you're leaf peepers.
Right.
And you think it looks amazing, which it does. Or, on the other hand, we're on these back mountain roads that are windy. We know how to negotiate them because live here. And folks just go so fast around the hairpin turns and, and it's so alarming. And, please turn your brights off, just a lot of, learn about the history of the place that you're moving to, so you have a little local knowledge. But it was a great, I'm so glad I put it out there to people. The Hive Mind has a lot of info.
Great. I'm Rick Snyder, and we have pleased to have Amberly Jane Campbell here, the Kingston Wire, Shawangum Journal. Please, if you feel like talking about anything, just give us a call at 331-9255, and we'll be happy to talk to you. I'm sure, well, maybe I shouldn't say I'm sure. Have you hiked the Ashokan Rail Trail?
Oh, yes.
That has become, last year the numbers escaped me, but it was a lot of people. They did a wonderful job with the Ashokan Rail Trail. And I'm assuming this spring with this weather, we're going to be really having a lot of people out there. What were your impressions of the rail trail?
Oh, I am such a huge fan of the rail trail. I live very close to the rail trail, the Walkill Valley one in Rosendale that goes over the Trestle Bridge. Yep. And seeing so many people out on the trail is both wonderful and, there was another suggestion that somebody put out to me last night, and it was that please keep the secret spots secret. We know these secret spots because we're from here, but we shouldn't blast them out on social media. Keep them secret because that's, what makes them special. What are
some of these secret spots that you think should be kept secret for the locals?
I know. And then little by little, word is getting out,
See, Lawrence, I got to tell you that I really like Amberly Jane, but that wouldn't work for me in tourism because we're supposed to promote everything. And I used to get, I lived in New Paltz for a number of years, and the people would complain about the traffic. And I said, let me ask you this. Would you rather see your taxes go through the roof, or would you like to have people from the city and wherever come to Ulster County and spend their money, and might be a little inconvenienced by traffic? And 99 out of 100 people say, well, okay, we can take the traffic down.
Yeah, that's what I agree with you too.
That's why I like Lawrence. He agrees with me. But, I know what you're saying about the little secret spots, and even I get annoyed as a golfer. Sometimes there'll be a little golf course that I used to play, and there'd be not many people there, and now all of a sudden they're getting crowded because we're promoting them and people want to go there. But so it's kind of a little. I don't know. It's kind of a little game, I guess we got to play, right?
It's true. It's yeah. You kind of play each thing by ear, and certain spots, as they become more inundated with people, you do find that you find additional garbage, and to that nature. I've found, just strollers, at a secret spot that in Kerhonkson that has a waterfall. I found like a stroller, and somebody just left a grill, like one of the portable grills, and it's like, how in the world is this? But I have to say, for the most part, people are very respectful of nature, and they do just. Obviously, we live in an immensely gorgeous place, and people are realizing it more and more.
One of the things that I found over the years, a lot of articles have been written that, in the past, people would. When they're choosing an area to go, move to another locale, they used to check out, golf courses. And, of course, schools are always, way up there if you have kids, obviously. But the number one thing that people seem to use as a selling point or wanting to come to an area is recreation and rail trails. People want to know if those are available, and let's be honest, we have a lot of those in Ulster County, many miles.
Right. So it's interesting, the walkway over the Hudson in Highland to Poughkeepsie, you know, I grew up in Highland, and so I remember when that was just a burnt out train bridge.
Sure.
And we would, you know, my friends would like dare each other to kind of jump the little thing and walk out a little bit and see how far you could get without being terrified.
I'd go about 3 feet and I'd be terrified if I'm seeing the river down below me.
Right. And then they had these plans to build the walkway. And I do have to say, I was like, that's an interesting concept. I wonder if, you know, but it was truly a build it and they will come, you know, scenario. And it's such a magnificent view, you know, and I have to say, I love that on the other side, on the Poughkeepsie side, there's the little skate park thing by the Children's Museum, because that's wonderful to skate in, you know. So I didn't think it would be as popular as it is. Let's put it that way.
You're not the only one, because I believe it's the 12th year this year of the walkway over the Hudson. I can remember the first year they had opening ceremonies. I was fortunate enough to be there. I think, trying to think who was there. It wasn't Governor Cuomo, but it was, I believe it was Governor Patterson's wife or somebody was there. But the projections for the first year they projected 250,000 people to visit the walkway over the Hudson. The first year was was 550,000.
Wow.
So, and it's been pretty much around that figure annually. So they didn't even know that it was going to be as popular as it has been. And it's been a great draw, particularly for the businesses in the southern Ulster County. You know, Milton, Marlborough, Highland, obviously, and Poughkeepsie on the other side of the river. So it's been a great attraction, one of the biggest attractions we have in the county.
Yeah, no, I love it. And it has built up Highland a little bit. Highland needed it for sure.
Yep.
And now there's kind of new construction all along where the rail trail is above it.
Sure, yep.
But yeah, no, I love, it's a difficult kind of thing to put into words when you drive through your hometown and it just looks completely different.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm finding that all over, not just Highland, of course. But what's really wonderful is that I feel like this summer is going to be kind of chock full of safe events that will be live and in person. You know, a lot of events have already been approved, especially out Ellenville way. You know, I don't want to necessarily chat about Ellenville, although we can. Yeah, okay, good.
What do we have coming up there that's going to happen?
So they have approved the 4th of July parade, which the roller derby girls and I always skate in. So that will be fun. They approved Wings and Wheels, which is a car show that benefits disabled veterans.
Mm-hmm.
They have approved the Blueberry Festival, which is that's the biggest. Yeah, I just love that so much. And so, you know, we hope to have all of these safely and whatnot. But they have also approved, starting April 2nd, they're going to close the streets. They're going to close Canal Street, which is the main street. And they're going to have all the restaurants, because that's kind of restaurant
They did
row.
that, didn't they do that last year, too?
Yes, they did.
Yep.
Yeah. They did it last year, and it was so successful that they're going to start it again. And they're starting it a little earlier, so April 2nd.
Have you heard whether, it may be a little premature, a little early, about Shadowland Stages, whether there's going to be any productions this year?
Yeah, we are in contact with Brendan, and we're trying to find out, but they haven't really made that final determination yet. They do have the Kids Acting Academy that is happening right now, but, you know, and actually the newspaper last summer, put on a play. We put on a play in front of the Hunt building last year, and it was wildly successful. And so we're also seeing if maybe we could do that in conjunction with Shadowland and have outdoor plays.
Right. Good. Well, Brendan and everybody associated with Shadowland Stage has done a tremendous job the last decade or so. But the renovations in there now, it looks like a brand new theater, and I've gone to several number of productions there, and for what you pay, it's just really quality acting, and it's always nice to support a local theater. And I'm hoping this year that maybe they start with a 25 or to 50%, at least to have some people in the theater, because it's really nice. Before the pandemic, used to go down there, have dinner, whether you go to Roma Time Bistro or any of the other restaurants that are like right next to Shadowland, they're all on the same street basically, and then go see a production, and you're on your way by 10:30 or something like that. And they have some really great. I can't remember the actor's name. Maybe if there's any listeners out there that can help me out. But the guy that was in Rudy.
Yeah, Sean Astin.
That's who it was. Sean was at a production.
I was at that show as well.
Yeah, that was a great show. I can't remember the name of it, but it was really good.
Oh, I know. I can't either.
And I know Judd Hirsch has been there a number of times because Judd's from the Ellenville area. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, when I used to work at the Nevele, was called the Nevele Grand, and I was a marketing director, but I also was in charge of golf groups, and I'd see Judd down at the driving range hitting balls occasionally, and it's great to have an actor like that, of that acclaim in our area, and he's always very helpful to Shadowland Stages. We had a Sean Astin, that was a great show.
Oh, that was, and I got to interview him for an article before that show.
Cool.
And he was so lovely and so down to earth. And I mean, talk about, an actor and the movies he's been in that has like shaped my childhood. I mean, he's, Goonies, Lord of the Rings, you can't beat him. But he was so lovely and very sweet. And
they did well. I think they had, like, it was there a couple of weeks. They had a number of sellout shows.
They did. Yep, they did.
So,
yeah, it goes to show what having a big name will help out. But yeah,
absolutely. But even when they don't have big names, the shows are very good there. So
absolutely.
So, what else is going on in? I know that you're not a golfer, right?
I know, not so much.
Anyway, Strong Country Club opened. It's now called. It's been changed in honor. It's called Steckler Memorial. Yep. Joe Steckler passed away several years ago. He was the village manager. Joe was just such a great guy. I was served on a couple of committees with Joe, and he was always just tremendous. But I know that the golf course is open. And I know
now that they're actually just allowing carts again.
Oh, they are?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, starting this week. So
that's a good bit of news because
I knew you'd like that.
Yeah, I do, because walking that course is a little rough. It's very hilly, but and I hear that they had a very good winter there with the what they do.
They had the tubing.
Tubing.
Yep, they had the tubing, and then they supplied the tubes, and they would bring you up with the like ATV.
And the restaurant is doing very well there.
The Country Club Grill.
Yeah.
Which is owned by Eric from Tony and Nick's. So
right.
it's also an offshoot of kind of Tony and Nick's. They make their own mozzarella every day. Love it. So good.
Wow.
We really do have wonderful people in Ellenville that are working hard to uplift it.
What is the name of the new restaurant that is in the former White Wolf? Do you know?
Oh yeah, the Paper Mill.
Yeah, have you been there?
The Paper Mill's wonderful. Oh yes. So Christine is from the area, from Ellenville, and she started this with her partner Jan, and the Paper Mill is just wonderful. So not only are they going to have all kinds of events. Excuse me. They have wine pairings. They actually have a ton of comedy shows that are coming in. The first comedy show is April 10th, but they are wonderful and the food's amazing. Absolutely. I have to suggest them for sure.
Okay. Getting back to, I guess, Midtown Kingston, going through some of the, let's say, problems right now.
Sure.
How do you guys feel working there right in Midtown? Do you still?
Oh, fine. I mean, so Jesse Smith is our number one, reporter, and he's from the city. He knows, when he was younger, he was in Tompkins Square Park when that was all going down, and he's fine. I mean, we're all fine. It's okay. I believe in Kingston. I believe in Midtown Kingston. It's a complex subject, and I can't pretend that I know all the ins and outs about it.
Sure.
Frankly. So, but if I could just mention a little bit about the Kingston Wire itself.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
We have Amberly Jane Campbell, Campbell from the Kingston Wire. So if you want to ask her a few questions, we still have a few minutes, but go ahead and talk about the Kingston Wire.
Awesome. Thank you. So the Kingston Wire is a kind of new digital news site for Kingston, completely independent.
Which I subscribe to.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we really try to focus on the topics and things that are kind of lost in the fray. There's just so much happening in Kingston, and we really didn't feel like it was being covered to the extent that it could be. And so, both Jesse Smith and Dan Barton together, who's the editor, have covered Kingston for 40 plus years between them. They are very familiar with all the ins and outs and the key players, I should say, of Kingston. So we started this back in September. We launched Kingston Wire. And so we are a digital news site. When you first sign on with your name and email, you get 4 free articles. And after that, articles are either 25 cents a piece, or you can subscribe for $5 a month for unlimited reading. And we do have also some free posts in there. We started gathering cartoons from Kingston School District kids.
Wow,
and so we have a couple free cartoon posts up there. We partner with the History Alliance of Kingston, Kingston Happenings, Blau Weiss Media. We work closely with the Maritime Museum. I just love the history part of Kingston, because it's so rich with history and beauty. And so that's a little bit about the Kingston Wire. And I definitely, so if you do know a kid or who does comics or even draws, we would love to display them on the Kingston Wire and highlight our great local kids. My daughter is in the Kingston School District, and she's in 2nd grade. She makes her own comics. We made a comic last night about Lava Girl and I forget. Animal Man and Lava Girl and Dr. Evil. And she's super talented. If you're listening, Ripley, you're awesome.
Ripley, that's a great name.
Yeah. Well, we, a very strong female character, Ellen Ripley from Aliens. So,
okay.
So that was kind of the genesis of that. My husband and I, when we came upon that name, when I was pregnant, we were like, oh, that's it. That's her right there. And she lives up to it. She is super amazing and really just not afraid of anything.
Well, that's great. If people want to get in touch with you to do, if they have talented children out there, how should they do that?
Oh, yes. You can definitely always email us at info@kingstonwire.com. You can email me personally at amberly@kingstonwire.com, and I'm AMBERLY. Or Dan at kingstonwire.com, Jesse at kingstonwire.com. Yeah, we tried to make it easy. So, and we love highlighting local businesses, and just supporting the community in any way we can.
Great. Well, there's nothing like community newspapers, sort of like community radio.
Right.
The daily newspapers, sometimes they don't have the staff or the wherewithal to get out there and cover things in depth like you guys can. So, like I said, I subscribe. Also the Shwangung Journal, because I like to see what's going on in Ellenville. And I've always thought that it's nice to have these community newspapers that cover it in depth like you guys do. You do a great job, so keep it up. So
thank you so much. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that.
Anytime. So I know that we're getting up against it, so it's great to have Amberly Jane Campbell with us again. We'll definitely have you in some more if you don't mind getting up early.
Not a problem. And I have to say thank you to my husband for handing me the to-go coffee mug as I walked out the door.
Oh, what's his first name? Let's give him a shout.
Neil.
Okay, Neil.
Yeah. He's amazing.
Neil, check the alarm next time. Make sure it's set for 5:30 a.m., not 5:30 p.m. for Amberley Sheen. All right, it's great having you. Have a great weekend, and thanks for coming in again. We're going to go to a break now with Lawrence.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hi, this is Tony Marmo from Norman Staffing, and we've been bringing together employers and job seekers since 1980. If you're an employer and have job vacancies, let Norman Staffing help fill them with permanent or temporary workers. We screen, interview, and recommend the best candidates for your company. We make the employment process easier and faster for you. Please call Norman Staffing for your employment needs at 338-9111, 338-9111, or normanstaffing.com.
Hi, this is Winnie from the Rosendale Seniors, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
Rondout Savings Bank has a long history of serving local communities and maintaining a strong tradition of customer service excellence while providing each customer with the personal attention they deserve. Rondout Savings' approach to community banking puts you and the growth of your business in the front of everything they do. They're a different kind of bank and would like to tell you why, so please reach out to one of their expert business bankers for an appointment and let them show you what they can do for you. Rondout Savings Bank, always working for you and the community with branches in Kingston, West Hurley, and Hyde Park. Also online at rondoutbank.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
All right, we're back. Rick Remsnyder. I'm filling in for Fran DiPietro today. Kind of doing the board and doing both things. Rick, we got a birthday?
Yes, we do. And there's only one birthday coming up here, Sunday, March 28th. We please wish a happy birthday to Russell Renfro from your friends at the Rosendale Seniors.
I wonder if he's related to Mel Renfro.
The wide receiver?
I thought he was a defensive back for the Cowboys.
Mel Renfro. Yeah, you're right. No,
yeah, he wasn't. I think he was a cornerback.
Yeah,
I actually met the guy the only time I went to Texas Stadium. I got his autograph, too.
Wow.
Mel Renfro.
Wow.
He was actually, walking around the corral. This is before they built the new stadium.
Well, that's
He's a nice guy. As much as you could actually like a Dallas Cowboy, but, you know.
Yeah, well, I used to like the Cowboys when Tom Landry was the coach. So.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, he wore that hat. Do you know, they won't let, this is, before we, I know we have Luke on the phone and we don't want to take up too much time because he needs his time. You know, they won't let coaches wear, remember Dan Reeves, Tom Landry, Vince Lombardi, jacket and tie on the sideline. Yep. That's what was their... You know, now the NFL does not allow that anymore. You have to wear something that has your team name on it.
Of course, the gear.
I thought if a guy wants to wear a jacket and tie to coach his team, I mean, that's what Lombardi used to do. I thought I loved the NFL. I'm a season ticket holder, and I've been watching the Giants all my life. But when I heard that, I was like, God, that's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and it was the same way this year with college basketball. The guys are wearing their sweats, but I did notice that Rick Pitino, who's coaching Iona, got him to the NCAA tournament this year.
Yeah, I had them winning that first round game. I wanted them to win. You know, Iona hadn't been to the tournament, God, I want to say since the late 70s, early 80s up until Rick came.
Oh, no, they've been in there quite a few times.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, but wasn't it NIT, though?
No, they had a coach there,
Did
Tim
you go
Cleese.
to Iona?
What? Huh?
Did you go to Iona?
No, when I worked at the Journal News, I used to cover Iona, Manhattan, and Fordham. So I actually covered them when Jeff Ruhlin was the coach there.
Good.
Yeah, so they went to a number of NCAA tournaments. But, yeah, and so Patino's wearing a suit, which was nice. Anyway, this birthday winner, Mr. Renfro, you're going to win from courtesy of Boyce Dairy Milk House and Kingston Community Radio, one of the famous cow pies. So please go there. Congratulations.
Good. And before we get to Luke real quick, I just want to reiterate for the listeners that weren't listening at 7:05, after Val DeWire and Dan Gruner's show yesterday, Chief Tinty will be on the air Monday morning at 7 o'clock. He can only stay for about an hour. He has a prior engagement at 8, so he's going to fit it in. But I think it's important to hear his side of the story and to start getting to the bottom of the crime that's going on in Kingston. So Chief Tinty will be on with me, and actually Chief Sinagra from Saugerties will be co-hosting on Monday. It's normally Medical Monday, but as you know, there is 5 Mondays in this March, so Dr. Eric Stanberg is only on the first, second, and third Mondays. Next month, however, though, Dr. Ed Alio will be doing the other part of Medical Monday when Stanberg isn't here. So he is an audiologist. I know if you can hear, he's got a lot of questions, and he'll have a lot of answers about his ears. So good morning, Luke.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Great, Luke. You're one of my favorite people in the golf community. So how's things going today? You going to get any players out there when the rain stops?
Oh, yeah, hopefully we'll get these skies to clear up and we'll start getting some golf going today.
Great.
Every day is good for golf, especially when you're playing in March.
That's true. We got an early start to the season. So before we start talking about Wiltway Golf Club, and Luke is the pro there, I want to congratulate you and your wonderful bride, Savannah. I understand you have a new baby boy that was born a couple weeks ago, right?
Yep. He's actually a week old today, so we just had our first, and it's been an exciting few days, and trying to figure out how you sleep and all the good stuff that goes along with being a first-time parent. So it's been really fun.
Great. Well, congratulations again. So now, Luke, it seems time flies by, so I kind of lose track of the years. Is this your third or fourth year starting at Wiltway?
So this is going into my fourth season, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
Really hard to believe. It's been...
Well, for the listeners, before we start talking about Wiltway, why don't you give us a little background on yourself and how it came about that you left Florida to become the head pro at Wiltway?
Yeah, so I grew up in Hudson, Wisconsin, which is a small town in the northwest portion of the state, and played golf from a young age, and ended up going down to Florida Gulf Coast in Fort Myers to go to school for professional golf management. While I was down there, I started working at clubs and ended up staying in Florida after school. And one of our members of the club I worked at down there is one of the investors in Wiltway. And so when the new team and new group purchased Wiltway, he mentioned that there was an opening, and I was interested, and so a few months later, I ended up in upstate New York, and for me, it was really like coming home. So Hudson, Wisconsin is actually named after the Hudson Valley, so the whole area, the culture, the community is very similar to where I grew up, so it just felt like home right away. And 4 years later, and we're still here, still doing it.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that Luke hit the ground running. I know before I retired 6 months ago as a tourism director, one of the things that I was really trying to promote to the best of our abilities was golf. And I contacted Luke shortly after he was hired as the pro, and he actually joined me at several golf shows, including New Jersey Golf Show and Albany, and he's been a great promoter of Wiltwick. And why don't you talk about the progress that you guys over at Wiltwick, the investors, have made from the move from private to semi-private, and how is that working out?
Yeah, so when the new group took over, they converted from a full private club to a semi-private club, and really all aspects of the business have grown significantly from that point. And so, our membership's up again, well up. So we've got almost 250 golf members. We've got a really active pool and social community and restaurant. And we've got, our Tuesday night men's league, which is a historic league at Wiltwick, has been sold out the last 2 years. So all of our programming is coming back together, and it's a combination of so many things. So it's the investment that our new investors have put in, and the energy they've put into the club. It's all the hard work, Rick, you and your team did, because I think we really experienced that this year when COVID-19 happened and there was people looking to escape the city. They looked nowhere else than Kingston and Ulster County, and that's because they'd been tourists here in the past. They'd come here to experience it. They fell in love with the area, and so when they're looking to leave, this was the area they thought about. And so an influx of new residents to the area, many of which are golfers and interested in outdoor activity, and that's why they're here. So we've been able to capture a lot of the new residents, and just continually to promote a fun, exciting culture. So, really our motto at Wiltwick is it's home. So our goal is to make everybody feel like it's their home. And so when they come there, they're as comfortable as they are. When they're at home, they're having as much fun as they would have. And it's just a real good escape and place to relax.
Well, you guys have done a great job over there, and I encourage people to go on the website. What's the website for Wiltwick, Luke?
It's wiltwick.org, WILTWYCK.org.
And not only if they're looking for memberships, but also public play. We'll get into that in a minute. But one of the things that, being a longtime resident of the Hudson Valley and Ulster County specifically, I've covered a lot of tournaments at Wiltwick, written a lot of stories about Wiltwick. It's a fantastic Robert Trent Jones layout. And over the years, I know that the course has always been in tremendous shape, and they've had a lot of different renovations throughout the years to upgrade the course. But talk about, I know that from you and I speaking, very excited about the food operation that's coming on this year. Can you talk a little bit about the restaurant, the chef, and what people can expect over there, not only if they're playing golf, but is the restaurant going to be open just for, I know you had the Capitol Tavern open a couple of years. Is it going to be open to the public again this year, or what are your plans?
Yep. So our restaurant is open to the public, and we've continued to really invest in our social side of our operations. And so this year we're putting in a beautiful outdoor bar. We've got an awesome outdoor seating area. It looks over the mountains. It's really hard to beat. And then going back just a few years ago, we fully renovated our tap room. So beautiful bar, hangout area. It's really an awesome spot to catch lunch or dinner, and we want everyone to come visit us. Chef Dominique Mite comes from France, classically trained in France, moved over to the U.S. and spent time all throughout New York City, and was most recently at Manhattan Woods, which is a phenomenal club just south of us. He's going into a second year, and we feel so lucky to have him, and we want everybody to come experience his food. As someone who's at the club every day, I'm lucky enough that I get to take part in it, and it's just awesome. So I can eat his food every day. It's just really, really good. And hey, while you're there, you can go play some golf or go check out our pool. So we're also right now fully renovating our pool, so there's a lot of exciting things taking place.
Great. When I know that at the very beginning of the year you're open only to the members. When will it be open to the public?
So our golf course is open right now. It's open for everybody. So come see us right away. Our restaurant's going to be opening April 1st, so we're just a few days away from having our full services going.
Great. This is really early in the year. You're getting a jump on it. I'm imagining the members have been out there and the public chomping at the bit to get on the course. So have you been busy the first week or so?
We have people have got the itch. So just yesterday we had over 100 players, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, people are excited about golf, which is really fun. I think last year a lot of people rediscovered golf and their love for golf, and that enthusiasm and passion for it's carried over into this year.
Great. I encourage people to not only go on the Wiltway website, but also go to the Ulster County tourism website. It's called ulstercountyalive.com, or you can just Google Ulster County Tourism. We had a golf video that we worked on, that we upgraded last year, and we had Luke and his fabulous swing. He was gracious enough to spend a large part of the day, and we had some great drone footage and some footage of Luke in action. So people also, you'll not only see Wiltway, but you see some of our other fabulous courses. So how was it like to get in front of the camera and you were staring down? We really kind of made it tough for you because I think we had you teeing off on the 15th hole, which is like one of the narrower fairways. How was that experience for you last year, Luke?
Well, it was fun, but I was pretty lucky because no one actually saw where the golf ball went. So, yeah, I just had to make it look pretty. I didn't actually have to have good results. So thank goodness, because I'm pretty sure I didn't hit very many good ones.
Yeah, well, it came out really well, and we appreciate all the time you spent with us that day. So talk about the golf course a little bit, Luke. What, it's always been, Wiltwick has always been acknowledged as one of the top golf courses in the Hudson Valley. What makes Wiltwick such a special golf course, in your opinion?
That's a really good question, and there's a lot of things that separate, but I think it always comes down to really two factors. And one is the diversity of the layout. So it's really a golf course that to play well requires you to hit all the clubs in the bag and all the shots that you have. So it's a combination of long holes, short holes, high-risk holes, holes that you need to play conservatively. And so there's not just one strategy or one style of play that you can get around Wiltwick well with. You need to do a little bit of everything. And then course conditioning. So it's always been in phenomenal shape. And Jason and his team do an incredible job with it. So every time you're there, you know you're getting a premium golfing experience.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So, those two things are what really separates it is, not a lot of clubs have the two-headed monster of an awesome layout and great conditioning.
Right. Well, I got to say that the customer service there is absolutely phenomenal too. Because if you drive up, don't be surprised when you go to the bag drop that if you may even have the head pro coming out to take your bag, which is kind of above and beyond the duty of the head pro. For me, many years spent covering golf in Westchester Country Club. or Westchester, all the county courses down there and all the private courses. I never saw the head pro Wingfoot jumping out of the pro shop to grab a member's bag, but you'll see that at Wiltway, which is really a nice touch. Or if not the head pro, one of his other great staff. They're always very accommodating to the people, and I think that's one of the reasons that you guys have been successful, because you are welcoming to the public and your members, obviously.
Yeah, that's what we strive to do, is to make the place welcoming and make it fun. And we assume people have to work all day, and they get a few hours to escape. And if they're going to spend it with us, we want to make sure it's a fun, relaxing experience. And that's what we aim to do. And I'm really lucky. I've got an awesome team that make my job a lot easier. They make me look good every day. So. Yeah, we really do work hard to make sure it's a great customer service experience, great golf experience, great dining experience, because we want people to enjoy all aspects of our club.
This is Rick Snyder. We have Luke Berbick, who's the head golf professional at Wiltway Golf Club. So if you feel like chiming in, any questions about golf or anything else for that matter, please give us a call at 331-9255. One of the things, Luke, that I found that has changed a little bit over the last few years is that you guys, I think, have done a really nice job of diversifying the tees. And, one thing I find from golfers, particularly, let's say golfers who aren't scratch or low handicappers, is one of the big problems I find with golf, and one of the reasons sometimes it takes too long to play a round of golf, is people don't go to the proper tees, which are commensurate to their skill level. Like yours truly is not stepping on the first tee at Wiltwick and going to the black tees or whatever. But I know that there's changed a little bit. Some of the more difficult holes, I believe it's the white tees. You might have moved it up a little bit. Talk about that, and has that helped move play along? And how long does it take to take an average round of golf there at Wiltwick for 18 holes?
Well, first of all, Rick, you're hard on yourself. Your game is far better than you give yourself credit for.
Thank you.
But yeah, you make a great point, which is golf is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be torture out there. So. And part of having fun is shooting low scores and playing the appropriate set of tees. So that's something that we take serious. So even when we're starting players, we help them select a tee that they're going to have the most fun from. So we've added new sets, which include a set of gold markers, which are about 6,000 yards. We've moved our white tees out there. They're now at a more appropriate 6,300 yards. So we have tee options that spread over a course of 1,000 yards, so from 6,000 up to 7,000. Pace of play is something that we take very seriously, because it is probably one of the biggest factors in how much you enjoy your experience. Nobody likes the experience of having to wait. So we strive every day to have a 4-hour pace of play, and it's something that we accomplish almost every day. And so people can be assured when they come out they're going to get a quick round in.
Well, that's good. If people are interested in memberships, or the public is interested in seeing when tee times are available and the rates and everything, is going to the website the best place for that? And also, what number can they call if they want more information?
Absolutely. So you can go check us out on our website at wiltwick.org, or always give us a call at 845-331-7878, or even better, come visit us at Wiltwick's Golf Shop. We love to see people and chat and hang out and have a cup of coffee, so don't ever hesitate to just come say hi to.
Great. And lessons are available, I'm sure. You give lessons. Who else? And you have Jack Brino still on staff, I'm assuming.
Yes, so we still have Jack and Jeff Massa. Jeff Massa's stepped up to our Director of Instruction position this year, and has done a phenomenal job. Great instructor. Jack's there every day helping people's games get better. And you know Jack, he loves junior golf, and he's still got his great junior program. So on Tuesdays and Saturday mornings we have Jack's juniors, and there's nothing better than seeing 15 kids out there working on their games.
That's the future of our game, obviously. So, talk about a little bit about the leagues, Luke, because I believe that you don't have to be correct me if I'm wrong. You don't have to be a member to participate in some of these leagues.
Correct. So all of our leagues are open to members and public, and it's a great way to really begin to become part of the Wiltwick family because everyone hangs out. It's a good social activity. So we have 5 leagues over the course of the season, but I'll highlight our Thursday night drop-in league, which is one of my favorite programs we run. So it's a league that takes place over the course of the season. It goes from May through September, and you just come the weeks you can make it. So you're not committed to a schedule. You're not even committed to a time. So you can play any time from 4 o'clock on. And the weeks that you can make it, you just call up, you sign up for a tee time. Each week we play a different format. So sometimes it's team games, sometimes it's individual games. We keep a season-long point standing. So the more weeks you come, the more points you can earn. And then at the end we have our King and Queen of Wiltwick event, which is how we determine the champion. So it's a series of one-hole matches that players can play to eventually be determined the King or Queen of Wiltwick and win our season-long drop-in league.
Well, that's a great way to do it. I know that, well, now that I'm retired, I don't really need to worry about it. But when I was working, there were times when I was in a league that it was hard to commit to every week. So that's a fantastic way to do it. We still have a few minutes, but I want to make sure, because I haven't put down any bets from the Masters yet. So since I have someone who's in the golf business and such an expert in this field, I want to see if I can get a little tip from the local pro. If you were picking the coming up for the Augusta National, the winner of the the Green Jacket, who would be your top pick, Mr. Berbick?
I think you have to go with Dustin Johnson, probably. He's got to be your top pick, but I actually think it could finally be Rory's year. So although he's done absolutely nothing for the last 2 years, I think he's getting closer. And I know he just recently made a swing coach change, and I think it's about time he wins. And when he does get it on, there is probably no one in the world that can beat him. So if he can find it for a week, he'd be my pick. Okay. Let me ask you this, since one of the things I love to do is watch golf. What are your impressions of Bryson DeChambeau and how he has changed the game? Because even Rory McIlroy mentioned recently that he might have taken a few steps back because he tried to chase a few more yards after watching Mr. DeChambeau hit it by him 40 yards or so. What are your impressions of Bryson, and do you think that is the future of the game? Yeah, I do think he is, and I think I love what he's done. I think it's really exciting to watch him play. I think at times golf can be boring, and every time Bryson's on TV, he's unbelievably exciting because you just can't wait to see what he's going to try and do next. From like a growth of game perspective, I also think it's good because the thing that separates golfers the most amongst the different skill levels, it really comes all down to distance. And so I think he's helped show that hitting it far is the biggest advantage we have in golf. There's a saying that speed is forgiveness, which most people always go, mostly we hear we're trying to swing it slower, right? I'm trying to control it and hit it straighter. But when we miss it and hit it short, then it's a really hard game. When you miss it, but it goes a long ways, at least you're up close and you have a better chance of getting to the green. So we're seeing it at the club. We've seen a lot of our members begin to focus more on fitness, focus more on hitting it farther, and in turn their scores are going down. So when scores go down, we have more fun. Well, I agree with you about Bryson, and he reminds me obviously of
when I was fortunate enough for 10 years to cover the PGA Tour, and I was out at Crooked Stick, I think it was 1993, and a young man by the name of John Daly came in as the ninth alternate and won the PGA Championship. And, people said this guy wouldn't last because he swung so hard, but we know what John Daly did. So, plus Bryson has an unbelievable short game, which people didn't think he could win at Winged Foot, and obviously he proved everybody wrong by winning by 5 shots. So anyway, Luke, it's been fantastic talking to you. We're about ready to wrap it up. Again, congratulations to you and Savannah on the new baby. And if people want to get out to Wiltway, please do so. It's a great course. Go on the website, wiltway.org, or as Luke said, go out and check out the course. And I hope to see you soon, my friend.
Us too. We can't wait to see you out there. And Rick, congratulations on your retirement, and thanks for everything you did for the county.
All right. Take care, Luke.
You too. See ya. Bye-bye.
All right, Lawrence, going a little break here.
And then we'll be back with Dr. Jack Breslin.
Yes, sir.
I got him on the phone, so we'll be back in a few, listeners.
Fantastic.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
There was this one time I went snorkeling in the Caribbean when I was a kid. It really just blew my mind. We saw the most beautiful corals. I remember thinking they were waving at us as they moved with the ocean. And then there were all these amazing fish. I'll never forget it. It completely changed the way I look at the ocean.
Most of us have a memory of being in nature we'll never forget. Let's protect the world's natural places so more memories can be made for generations to come. Visit worldwildlife.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Someone in your town, at your school, or where you work is suffering from Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. They're dealing with excruciating pain and days when they can't even get out of bed. Chances are someone you know has Crohn's or colitis. Someone like me. I'm Amy Brenneman, and I'm asking you to support the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America to help millions of us cope and to find cures. Visit ccfa.org today to learn more. Help someone you know get back to their lives at ccfa.org.
Hi, this is Jim Quigley, supervisor of the town of Ulster, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Okay, we're back with the last half hour of Kingston Community Radio. And just to remind everybody, me and Chief Sinagra will be on the air Monday morning, and Chief Tinty will be our first guest to reiterate and to have him hear his side of the story after yesterday's events. We also have a radiothon next week. We got a busy week. We have a radiothon coming up next week, in which I'm sure you guys have all heard numerous times by now. But on the phone right now, we have Dr. Jack Breslin, correct?
Yes, we do, Lawrence. Correct. Thank you. And are you there, Dr. Breslin?
Yes, we are here, Rick. How are you doing?
Doing great. Jack Breslin is a longtime friend of mine. He's now the Associate Professor of Media and Strategic Communication for Iona College. And we go back a few years when Jack and I worked at the Daily Freeman as enterprising reporters. How many years ago was that, Jack?
Oh, I'd say back in the 1860s. Wasn't it? No, it was back in 79. I went to the Freeman. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wow. Let's not even add up the years. But so Jack was. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? Because you are a local guy, even though you were born in Long Island. Just give us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, well, we came up from Long Island in '61 and registered a little old Port Ewan school with the great principal down there, Robert Graves, who they named the school after. And that first Sunday, we went to church presentation in Port Ewan and met the most charismatic priest I think God ever made, Father Jim Kelly. Folks will remember him very fondly there. In fact, they named the street right in front of the church there in Port Ewan overlooking the river for Jim Kelly. And after a few years of being an altar boy and going to school there, I went away to study to be a priest. At the tender age of 13 years old, got on a bus there at the Thruway, and I went through the high school with the Redemptorist Fathers, who were at Mount St. Alphonsus for many years, and then took my first vows and went to college with them up in Suffield, Connecticut, and decided that I wanted to take a little time off to see the world before I got ordained. And, of course, the good fathers were like, well, that's great. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, pal. But I still get along with them very well. In fact, we do reunions together. And, when the Mount was sold, I was very sad because it had a lot of great memories for me. And when I was working in Hartford time, doing some social work with the seminarians in the summer, and decided to stay there for a while and worked as a bank teller, a security guard, 7-Eleven manager, all kind of different stuff in kids' camps. And I started doing some freelance writing, first for a giveaway newspaper there called the Hartford Current. And someone said to me, well, you got to go get your master's degree if you want to work at a newspaper. Well, if I ever find that guy, no, it was an interesting experience. After being in the seminary for college with only 80 guys and one major, philosophy. Of course, nobody made me do it. I did it my own free will, and I cherish those days very much. I went off to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale first. It was too research-heavy a program. I wanted something more professional, so I transferred to the University of Georgia. And during one of the summers, I wrote a story for the Freeman about a heaven that a black spiritualist named Father Divine had out in Bloomington. And the then editor, Shazi Jawalabi, loved it and said, when you're ready for the job market, we certainly want to hire you. And I said, well, you don't have to ask me twice. But I had the interviews with the Record and with the Journal as well, but the Freeman sounded a lot better because, I had spent a lot of time up in Kingston, even though I had moved away. My family was still out in Bloomington. And Freddie Hoffbauer, our Bloomington postmaster, was the president of the school board. Bob Corcoran, who was my sixth grade teacher, he was an assistant superintendent of schools. Other folks that I knew were in the Kingston community and rising in the fire department and the police department and the banking industry and all over the place. So I already had a lot of good contacts. And as you remember very well, that a lot of the folks we worked with at the Freeman had come in from other places and really didn't have an appreciation of the community.
I never understood that hiring practice, did you?
No, we even had a couple of folks there with us who had not even attended any kind of journalism school. And in fact, I had here I walk in with my hotshot master's from the University of Georgia, And that was even like a detriment. Oh, well, you who went to journalism school, you don't have a view of the world. And it's like, well, wait a minute, I've been to Europe, I've been to Central America, I've been around the United States, I've had all these crazy jobs. I don't, think that I'm somebody who just got out of undergrad and, can't even do the inverted pyramid. So that was part of the challenge, I think, of those of us who, had grown up in the community, especially some of the veterans, struggling with people who really didn't understand and had the aspirations of being the next Woodward and Bernstein in little old Kingston. So there was, it was a good ride for, the 3 years I was there, although I didn't really get along with the editor too well. But, I appreciated the opportunity, and the connections that I made there led to me going to NBC to do publicity for soap operas, daytime dramas, as we called them at the time. Just by a fluke, a children's book had come in from Harper and Row by a local children's author and illustrator, Ben Schechter. And Ben liked the story that I wrote very much and invited me to a dinner party at his house. And at the time, his partner, George Barimo, was a producer at the soap opera The Doctors down the city. And the day that, I was unceremoniously dismissed, shall we say, I wasn't too upset because I was going to quit anyway to hike the Appalachian Trail. I'm not making this up. I really was. And I had trained for over a year and all this stuff. But when I didn't even make it to the top of the first mountain because at the time my mom was in a nursing home. She had had a stroke my senior year in high school and never fully recovered, or senior year in college, and she never recovered. And so cell phones then were not even thought of. And I said to the ranger, where's the next phone on the trail? And he goes, about a week away. And I realized that this isn't the time for this. I just can't do it. And when I got back, Ben and George said, well, there's a guy here, for the weekend. He's head of daytime programming at NBC, and he says that this is an opening doing publicity for the soap operas. And I'm like, well, I'm a journalist. I would never do public relations. It's going to go to the dark side. Well, I went down there for the interview and looking up at 30 Rock and going, well, I can hang out here and make some contacts and with the news people, and eventually they're going to realize that I am the next Tom Brokaw, and they're going to put me on the air, and I'm going to be a big star. Well, didn't work out that way. But in that time, the way that the publicity department was set up, that newspaper reporters like us fit in very well because you really didn't pitch the media very much. You worked with the shows that you were assigned, and then you gave the ideas to the people who then talked to the media. Well, we had a show on as well called The Tomorrow Show with Tom Snyder, but that went off the air, and then I thought, well, they're going to lay me off or something. Oh, no, we have a show coming on in February we want you to do called Late Night with David Letterman. I go, David who? Oh, yeah, he had been one. And so I launched Letterman, backed people up on Saturday Night Live, did the soap opera publicity, and then got a couple of promotions and wound up going to California with NBC. They had promoted me, and I was doing publicity then for the miniseries and movies like Kennedy, Princess Daisy, Fatal Vision, the television movie Adam about John Walsh, who later became the host of Most Wanted. Little did I know I'd be working there too. But as happens, and some people say it's a pattern in your life, after about 5 years in NBC, only 8 months after I moved to L.A. with another promotion and a big raise, I ran into another individual who wasn't very nice, and it's good for class because I have examples of people who are absolutely amoral and unethical to talk about in the media ethics class. And they called me in one day and said, this isn't working out. We want you to resign. And I go, well, I don't think so. And then through the system, I left. I still have the nameplate from the door. And for 2 years in L.A., I worked in the film industry a little bit with a small film company. And also did some bartending and script writing and some voiceovers and stuff. And then, as I tell my students, networking is the way you get jobs. Be nice to people. So one of my colleagues from NBC, who I had kept in touch with, he called me one day and said, when you were at NBC, didn't you do Letterman? And I go, well, yeah. And he goes, well, we have a new show here. I'm at Fox, the new network. We're just going on the air in a month. And we looking for somebody to do Joan Rivers' late night talk show. It's already on the air. And I said, Rivers, are you crazy? And he goes, listen, pal, this is on a movie lot. There's agents run all over the place. There's a television network. There's television production companies. There's agents all over the place here. If you can't sell some of your writing here, you might as well go back to working at the 7-Eleven. He knew that my first job out of the seminary was working at a 7-Eleven. So I said, well, okay. I wasn't too thrilled about working with Rivers because of her reputation and so forth, and her husband and the people who followed the show. But right away, when I went over, I saw that this was history being made. Rupert Murdoch and Barry Diller were putting together this new network. So we were the little network that could. We only going to be on 87 stations, most of them being upper channel movie, Fox 32 or Noon 73 or something. And we were going up against big bad ABC, CBS, and NBC, who had 200 affiliates. We didn't even cover 100% of the country. But down at a little trailer 761, we launched the Saturday night lineup, and then later the Sunday night lineup. Today, what is the Fox television network, the pioneers, we put it on the air.
What year, what time frame was that, Jack?
That was 87, 88. That, we put the first shows went on the air.
Okay. By the way, this is, we have Jack Breslin, who is giving us a little bit of his background. He's an associate professor at Iona College. We're talking about his coming up through the ranks, the Daily Freeman, NBC News, and Fox Network. If you like to call, ask Jack anything, 331-9255. So after Rivers, what happened then?
Well, with Rivers then, it was really a very sad situation what happened there with, the network telling them how to run the show and so forth. So, one night they just announced that, okay, the show's canceled. So then they went out looking for a lot of different. They wanted a late night format, but they didn't have a host. So they went out looking, and one of the young men who was on for a while was Arsenio Hall, and he was a comedian from. They found him in the comedy clubs, and that really brought it back. But the problem was they had already signed Letterman's producer, Barry Sand, to do a late-night format, so they let Arsenio go. He sat out a year and then had a talk show with Paramount. And so meanwhile, Fox realized that the late-night format wasn't working, but then meanwhile we had other shows that I did, like a show called Werewolf, and I worked with the great legendary actor Chuck Connors, who's a great man.
You could tell a million stories about Chuck Connors. We'll save that for another time.
It was a publicist's field day. He had played for the Mitchell Boston Celtics. He was with the Dodgers. He had TV shows. And, you talk about somebody who had tales of everything. And just a publicist's field day and a very nice man. And so even after the show got canceled, we stayed friends. And when he passed away, it was like losing my dad again. Because normally in the business like that, you don't have that kind of relationship. You learn very quickly the talent are not your friends. This is a business. And a lot of people get sucked into that thinking, me and so-and-so. No, pal. They don't care about you. You're just a little old publicist, and when the show goes off, a year from now, they're not going to know your name. And also working a little bit with Married with Children, 21 Jump Street, and then I had some other shows, a comedy show called Women in Prison, which only stayed on the air for a short period of time, although one of the stars of NCIS New Orleans, CCH Pounder, she was on that show. Very fine lady, very easy to work with. And then we started getting some reality shows like Cops and America's Most Wanted. And when they told me I had Most Wanted, they had already tried it out on the 7 owned stations in New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Dallas, Houston, Chicago. And the host was this, kind of unknown guy, John Walsh. And I said, yeah, I know, the movie Adam. My boss said, what, you know this guy? I go, yeah, I worked on Adam with him. This guy's going to be good because he's very media savvy and so forth. And, well, I was the original Fox publicist on Cops and Most Wanted that stayed on quite some time. So, me and L.A. were not getting along terribly well, being in the Hollywood community. I was really anxious to get back to the East Coast, because my mom was still alive and my dad had passed away in 1981. And just one little note about this gentleman named Rick Snyder. My first day at the Freeman, we were in the old A&P there. I'm dating myself there when I say that. And walking over from what used to be the meat counter, this gentleman over to where we were by the vegetable counter, this gentleman came over, and the only person in the newsroom who came to me that first day and introduced himself, hi, I'm Rick Snyder. I'm the city reporter. The only. No, you were city or county?
Well, I think I started out with a city, and then I did move over to the county.
So then I was interested in what you were doing with the city, so sometimes I would even go on some assignments with you at night and hang out. And then I was moved from features, which I really loved, and they put me on the city. And I didn't like that very much because, well, even I wasn't used to people, I wouldn't say lying to me, but leading me on, shall we say. And for a little while, when I came
in
back
politics
years later,
really
politics, of course, yes. When I came back and did a little writing for a little giveaway newspaper called the Post-Star, having been in PR, then I think I was a better political reporter because I knew the little games they were playing and understood the PR world. But it was very difficult for me on that city beat. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. People said, "Oh, the feature beat. That's the love beat. It's easy." I said, "No, these are the kind of stories I like to write about people." And even still, occasionally somebody publishes what I write. Hard to believe as it may be, it's feature stories. I still love writing those. So with Fox, it was Most Wanted. I had worked out an arrangement to move back to the East Coast. I took a pay cut, lost my promotions, to work on America's Most Wanted full time. And that was really a very different publicity experience because reality television had been around before. And even the concept of America's Most Wanted was not original. We stole the idea for the show from England, Australia, Germany, New Zealand. They had shows like Most Wanted on the air for almost 25 years. So the concept was not new, but it just caught on like wildfire. And the show became very popular. I got stories in USA Today, the front page of the New York Times. Entertainment Tonight was just starting up, CNN. And so it was a different type of publicity where we didn't have a star. Walsh was not a Hollywood celebrity. And so we actually made stars out of the bad guys. And a very simple concept. Here's the bad guys. Help us catch the bad guys. Next, and call us in. Next week, you come back. Thanks to you, we caught the bad guys. And the first guy we ever caught was on the FBI's 10 Most Wanted list, working in a homeless shelter in Staten Island. And the FBI had been looking for years. We put it on the air. Within minutes, people were saying, "Oh, we know this guy. His name is Bob Lord. He's working in a homeless shelter." And the bizarre thing was that he even walked into the police station in Staten Island, one of the precincts, and his picture is someplace in that precinct. He walked into the post office and saw his wanted poster and laughed because his picture was so old. They don't take yearbook pictures in prison every year. And so in came the tips, and we caught this guy. And so it was on the front page in the New York Times and all over the place.
The police authorities must have loved you guys, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah, we had loads of fun. Lots of stories about them, too. But then meanwhile, Cops, another reality show that from the PR standpoint, you didn't have any glamorous stars. You had to make stars out of the cops. And that kind of worked out pretty well. As you see today, they've followed the same format in reality TV. You got to make stars out of ordinary people. And running around the cop cars in Broward County and up in Portland and down in L.A. County and in, where else did we go? Oh, I forgot, Russia. We went to Leningrad and Moscow. And even then, walking up to the apartment buildings where the American correspondents live, knocking on the door, and the wife works for the Baltimore Sun, the husband works for the Philadelphia Inquirer, and say, "Hi, how would you like to ride around with the police tonight?" And they're like, "What?" So, like the guy from the New York Times, FX Klein, he had been in Moscow for like 20 years. He says, I've been here 20 years and I've never ridden the cops. I said, "Okay, meet me at such hotel. You're going out with the cops tonight." And 3 days later, we're on the front page of the New York Times. So it was a different kind of show. It was a different kind of television. And then, with going to D.C., the same idea. And also with Most Wanted, it felt as if you were helping people. You were helping people find justice by catching the bad guys. And so it was a different type of show. And being in Washington, politics and all the beautiful museums and everything there and making a lot of contacts, it was an interesting experience. But that little pattern that happened in my life, the executive producer, he was a TV guy, and his promise to me was, "Oh, you do this publicity so well, you just do your thing and everything." Well, from day one, I realized he had fibbed. He was going to tell me how to do this stuff, and I'm like, well, no, it's not rocket science, but there is a little method to it. And he would second guess me on. And then meanwhile, his little group of producers, they were, again, the ethical identity and concept was not really a concept to them. And so eventually he called me in one day and said, "I'm eliminating your position." That's all right. Well, I thought that politics would be fun. So this was the week of Clinton's inauguration that he was laying me off. So I went down to the inauguration and said, White House, this might be fun. And then, I did 53 job interviews. Now, I still have some of the rejection letters to prove it. Trying to get into political PR on Capitol Hill with the Senate, with the House, these nonprofit organizations, and NGOs, they call them, political operations.
Say, hey, Jack, we only have like 4 or 5 minutes. Why don't we'll have you back to talk. We'll have you back to talk about Iona a little bit and with your class. But when did you go to Iona College, and how long have you been there? How'd that come about?
Not having gotten a job in politics, I came back here because my oldest sister wasn't doing well, and did some freelance writing for the Post-Star, and then got into teaching at college in New Rochelle and Mount St. Mary's, and went up and got my PhD in Minnesota. Well, when I went on the job market, I got a call from Iona because I had been at basketball games in Iona with the eminent golf writer, basketball writer, Rem Snyder. So little did I know, as we pulled into the parking lot outside of Murphy Center and going into what was then the Mulcahy Center, I would be a very happy professor there for 20 years. So thanks to Rick again, folks. Even the night that I got canned from the Freeman, the only person to call me from the reporting staff was Rick. So we've kept in touch over the years, and of course, he occasionally gets ear infections because of listening to my stories too much.
No, that's.
But it was Rick who introduced me to Iona, and when I was on the job market, they called and they said, "We understand you're on the market." And I had 13 on-campus interviews because teaching PR was very popular. But I said, "Well, I want to do PR, but I'm into media law and ethics now. This is what I got my PhD in." And as soon as I walked onto the campus at Iona down here in New Rochelle, I said, "This is where I want to be."
Hey, Jack, that's great stories. We're definitely going to have you back. We only have a minute left, but you're giving me way too much credit. And I have to say that I learned a lot from Dr. Breslin as he sat next to me on press row and helped me with many of my stories under deadline, gave me a few good lead ideas. So you paid me back many, many times. So I always appreciate that. It's great to have you on. And I'm glad the Mighty Gales made the NCAA tournament this year. I think there'll be many more with Mr. Patino as the coach. But it's been great talking with you this morning. I want to have you back, talk about your class and what I've been in one of your classes, very illuminating, and obviously the media right now is an interesting topic. So thanks for spending a half hour with us, and next time you're up in Bloomington, let's do a little lunch, and have a great weekend.
Oh, we'll definitely do that, and thanks for having me, and have a great weekend as well, Rick.
All right. Dr. Jack Breslin, thank you very much. All right, Lawrence.
Well, Rick, we got about 30 or 40 seconds left. We never got to comment on the Sleepy Joe press conference yesterday. We had too much other stuff going on here, which is great. But did you happen to? We talked about it a little bit. Did you happen to see the lowlights, not the highlights?
I did catch the.
God, does he dance around questions or what?
It's not like other press conferences I've seen with presidents. Let me leave it at that.
Right. That's a good thing to leave it on.
It's when you haven't had a press conference for 100 days, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, has any president ever really done that? Usually,
no.
I mean, and I'm not. I voted for Trump. I probably wouldn't vote for him again. But did Trump give one like at least a couple times a week he was on? He wasn't afraid of speaking to anyone, that's for sure. But anyway, I just thought I would bring that up. Rick, you have yourself a great weekend. We'll be back Monday. Me and Chief Sinaga are hosting. I just got another guest that called in, Carl Brown, who's normally, he is actually a guest on Cameron Rylance and Nina Postapak's show. He's going to come in for a quick half hour and talk about the gun violence and the crime that's going on in Kingston. He's a very big supporter of what's going on in Kingston. He's been a lifelong resident. So we have a great show set up for Monday. Rick, have a good weekend. And everyone take care. We'll see you Monday.
Thank you, Lawrence.